Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Today we have a very special guest. She has a great journey in finance, and then she moved from finance to interviewing a lot of A-list people, and she has, of course, a big experience in podcasting and fashion, and a lot. We'll hear from our guests today. It's Tima Al Haj. Tima, how are you doing? So nice to meet you today.
Ah, It's my pleasure. Thank you so much, Ahmed. And I love that you can pronounce my name correctly, obviously, being Middle Eastern. So it's
Yes.
nice to hear the name being pronounced properly. So thank you. I'm really
Uh,
excited to be here. Thank you
I'm
for
so happy
inviting me
also
to come.
to have you on the show. Of course, you have big fans everywhere, and a lot of people like to connect to you and love your content on LinkedIn and different platforms. Tima, if we start like your journey, is you have a lot of experience in finance. I know. Then you suddenly decided to move to having to doing interviews to different people. How did this happen, and how did it come? Because usually when someone is like successful in one path, it's hard to take this decision and move from like 9 to 5 job to a different journey. And how did people take it from you? Did you have like fear, or family had fear? Tell us about the story, please.
Okay, it's a very long story, but I'll try and explain it in a way that's not too long. So basically, it wasn't a sudden decision, to be honest. It took me quite a while to make that decision. And I was in the financial planning industry for about 16 years. About 4.5 to 5 years of that, I was running my own practice. So I had my own business as a financial planner, and I was working with some other people where we sort of had the same banner we were working under. And for a long, long time, I really enjoyed financial planning, especially early on, because I was very young and I just wanted to be around successful people, and I wanted to be around people that were financially successful. That was very, very important to me very young, because I wanted to learn about money and I wanted to learn how money works. And I also wanted to be around people that had a lot more money than I did and my family did, because it was really, really important for me to create that success for myself. So obviously when I was really, really young, I was very, very money focused. And as we all
Yes,
most of us
yes,
are at
true,
a very young
true.
age, right?
Yes,
Especially if you come from a family where you just want to help your parents, or you just want to contribute financially, and one of the ways to do that is money. And
yes.
so for me, money was a very big focus, and that was really one of the reasons why I went into the financial planning industry. But as I grew older and wiser, I loved being around my clients, and my clients were all business owners. So the financial planning that I did was specific to business succession planning, and that was my speciality. So I would deal with corporations and also businesses, smaller businesses. And I loved my clients, but I didn't really enjoy the work that I did. But I just kept going because that's all I did.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Ahmed, being Middle Eastern, your parents, they get so much pride and they get so much joy when they show you off to to family and friends,
Yes.
based on your career.
Yeah.
And I, for a long time, I didn't want to take that away from them, but at the same time, I really didn't know what I was going to do, so I just kept ignoring that thought of maybe there's something else for me, and I just kept ignoring it. So it was something that I was thinking about for a long time, but I really didn't know what I was going to do. uh, Basically, the time that made me realize that maybe I should try different things was when I had my beautiful CEO, my daughter. Everybody knows I refer to her as my CEO because she
Yeah.
runs my life. She is my chief executive officer, and
Wow.
she
Yes.
inspires me all the time. Allah yahmiya. And so when I had her, I took a break. I had to take a break anyway because I was on maternity leave. I was planning on going back pretty quickly. I was working for one of the large banks at the time, but a lot of things stopped me from going back to work full time, which I won't get into now because it'll make the story a lot longer. But basically, I decided to start up my own business, and I set up a fashion label.
Yeah.
So, and at the same time, I also was running networking groups for women in business because I really missed having conversations with people about business. because when you have a child, people forget that you have a life before a child. So
So,
people were just constantly asking me about, how's your daughter? How's she feeding? How's she sleeping? And I wasn't having those intelligent conversations that I was really, really missing. So I just created those opportunities for myself. And then about a year and a half into that, I had some clients reach out to me, surprisingly, on LinkedIn. This is before I even used LinkedIn properly. And they
yeah,
said, hey, Tima, we really miss you. Why don't you, like, why are you not back at work? And so at the time, I just thought, well, why don't I just set up my own practice? So I did that. And then as soon as I went into practice, I like instantly felt like it just wasn't for me anymore. And I just didn't feel fulfilled. But I still didn't know what I was going to be doing. But I kept pushing through, and I'm like, okay, this is what I know and this is what I do. But then about in 2017, a number of things had happened that really made me question myself and question what I'm here for, and why do I exist, and what are the things that I really want to do in my life. And so I decided, after an entire year of really thinking about it, I said, okay, I'm going to do something a little bit crazy, which I
yeah,
already did. I set up a fashion label. I mean, that was crazy enough, and I didn't have any experience in the fashion industry. But I said, okay, I'm going to set up a podcast, something that I'm really, really
oh,
passionate about, communication, and I really want to inspire people and really make a difference in the world. So it all started off with the podcast. So as you can see, the thought process was not a sudden thing. It was many years of thinking and many years of questioning and doubts. But I just kept pushing through because I literally did not know what else I could do. And at the time, this was before social media really grew. This was before
yeah.
Instagram really grew, and LinkedIn and all these other platforms that has really created opportunities for us. So that's a very quick version of the story. So I hope that answers your
Yeah,
question.
no, yeah, it really answers the question, and it's good that you follow your passion, whatever is happening. You kept going, of course, the finance and all that. Then you started to follow your passion one by one, and it's a really, really inspiring story, Tima. Yeah, I was just going also to talk about you give us highlight about the fashion, and it's all about like being elegant and all that. The fashion brand, see that the fashion brand you did it at the same time you were doing finance, or you stopped finance and went to fashion. Tell us about that.
Well, I took about a year off from
Yeah,
finance. I started the fashion label when Zara was about 10 weeks old. So I started that when she was very, very young, and I just said, okay, what kind of label do I really want to create here? And it was a thought that I had for a while, and I thought, well, why not? This is the time to do it. I am home and I have the time, and I'm not dealing with clients, so I had the headspace for it. So I created this fashion label for a woman like myself who didn't want to look masculine at work. I wanted to look feminine, and I wanted to feel beautiful and powerful in my clothes. And so I created a label specifically around that. And then whilst having that, about a year and a half into that, I did set up my financial planning business. So at the time, I was extremely busy. I had my financial planning business, my fashion label, and I was also running these networking events for women in business. So I don't really recommend that, especially when you have a young child. Like that was a lot, a
hectic.
lot. I didn't a lot. Yeah, I didn't. But then again, I'm such a determined, driven person that sometimes I don't know when is enough, to be honest. So I just kind of like really push myself. And then I'm like, okay, maybe I need to like rethink this. And I did let go of my fashion label about 4 years into it because financially it didn't make any sense to me. And for me to to create the success that I really wanted meant that I needed to travel quite a lot. And my
Yeah,
daughter was very young at the time, and I didn't want to be jumping in and out of planes and taking her with me. And I'm like, okay, like, am I really enjoying this? So I was really questioning myself. And then that's when I said, no, I'm just going to go all in on financial planning. And then as soon as I did that, that's when I realized that I'm like, this is not really something that lights me up or really excites me. So there was a lot that had happened. A lot had happened over that period.
Yeah, true. I understand, of course, like trying three things at a time, and a daughter. I have a daughter myself, 4 years old. So, yes, of course, it's hectic when you have a child. But thank you for sharing, of course, this experience. You have a lot of people coming in, test name, and saying it's a great story. And I have a question in French. I don't know if you are good in French. Are you good in French? So we can
Oh
take
my
this
gosh,
question.
I did French when I was in high school, but let's see how I go. Don't make fun of me
Yeah.
if I can't remember.
No, of course, I'm not that good also. It's pourquoi elle n'utilise pas ce même quand elle parle. So, do
Do
you
I
get this?
speak? What does that
Yeah,
mean? Do I speak something? What does
yeah,
that
I'm not
mean?
sure about it, but we'll try. We'll get to
Maybe
answer it
someone can be
maybe.
kind.
Yeah,
Maybe
can
someone can
someone
be
be
kind
kind
and
to give
translate
us
that for us,
yes, we have
because
here
I'd love to
Muhammad.
answer that
Yeah,
question.
we'll answer this, and if someone can give us the translation. I have here question from Muhammad Hasib Raza. What would you do if you have conflict between your passion and what's needed in the market? Would you stick to your passion or you change your passion according to the demand in the market? What do you think? I think it's a good question. And
That's a really good question. I think
uh,
people look, the one thing that I just want to mention about passion, I think it's a little bit overrated. Okay. I think what people need to focus on is curiosity. I was just really personally really curious about the things that I was like looking at, like podcasting and say the media agency and company that I have right now. So I think the curiosity is really, really important, and it has to be in line with your values. Your values are so, so important. If whatever you're doing is not in line with your values, that's when you're going to have a real problem. You'll be absolutely questioning yourself. You'll be just feeling unfulfilled. You'll be feeling like that this is not for you. So, passion is something that is kind of like a bit of a fantasy. This is just my perspective. So, if anyone in the audience is very passionate about what they do, like, please don't even listen to what I'm saying. This is just my personal opinion
yeah,
and my take on it. Because if you're slightly curious about something, you want to naturally know more and learn more and research and grow and develop your skills. And that curiosity is something that keeps igniting that wanting and that determination. Now, going back to Muhammad's question, I wouldn't just change what the market wants, because the market changes all the time. I would
yes,
definitely focus on what I'm naturally good at as a person. Like, what are my natural gifts? And this is something that I would highly recommend for people to really ask themselves. You know, what are you naturally good at? What are the things that light you up? What are the things that you're curious about? And then also look at, if you do want to look at the market, look at, well, what is missing in the market, and is it something that you're genuinely interested in? If you're not, don't go down that path. I don't believe it's a good idea at all, unless you are drop shipping something and you already have an income that's quite regular on the side and you don't really care too much about what you're selling. That's a little bit different, because you're not making decisions out of desperation. You're making decisions purely from a business aspect. But for people out there, I think there's this real misconception about, you have to be passionate about what you do. I think that passion can grow over time, especially when it starts off with curiosity. So I hope that answers your question, Mohammed.
I think, yeah, and Divya here is said it's rightly said. I agree with her totally. Yes, it's
Thank you,
right,
Divya.
and thank you so much, Divya. I think it's right, yeah, and it's good to see what's happening in the market. If it's something like a blue ocean that you feel like you have passion into it, so why not go for it? It's so good to check what's happening in the market along with your passion and be curious, like you said, Tima. That's totally right. I want also to talk about your passion in public speaking, and that you had like how first did you get people ask you to go for public speaking, and what's your advice to people starting in public speaking? I know now there is not a lot of event due to the COVID, but hopefully when things get better, what do you think? What is your take on public speaking, and how did it come for you? And I know that you spoke on motivation on social media and how to create content and all that. Tell us about your experience in public speaking.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. Thank you for asking me that. But to be honest, like, even with the coronavirus, I've had more speaking events than I've ever had before. And if only, hi, Amina. I was just saying
Hi,
hello. Hi,
Amina.
Amina.
Hi,
Just
Amina.
want to
How are
say hello,
you?
Amina. If the world was normal right now, I would have traveled literally all over the world. I've spoken in
Yeah,
many different countries, many different cities, many different organizations, small companies, larger companies, private groups. It's been such an incredible, literally incredible 12 months in terms of the opportunities for me in terms of speaking. But how did I start? Well, before I was like technically a public speaker, I did a lot of speaking for work. I did a lot of
yeah,
like seminars and things like that. So I really, really enjoyed those, but I never thought I would be an actual speaker. It never really entered my mind. That's when I was stuck in the corporate like mindset. But when I started creating content on LinkedIn, in my heart, I wanted to be a speaker, but I never wanted to promote myself as a speaker because I was a little bit I was too scared, to be honest, because there
yeah,
were many, many people out there that were so much more successful than me, so much more experienced than me. And I thought, if I'm going to promote myself as a speaker, no one's going to be interested. Like, who am I compared to all these other bigger names? Now, that's not really the right mentality, but that's the truth. That's how I felt when I first started. So, what I said to myself was, okay, I'm just going to speak about the topics that I genuinely love and the things that I'm truly, truly passionate about. Those topics, and I always say it this way, those topics where people say, can you please stop talking about that? Like, I'm so sick of you talking about this. Like, please stop
yeah,
talking about this,
yeah,
Tima. They're the sort of topics that I really started off talking about. And they were all very much related to the mindset, inspiration, motivation. There were definitely elements of that around business and entrepreneurship. So naturally, those topics are things that I really, really love talking about. So the more I spoke about those things and also my mission and my vision around the things that I want to achieve and the impact that I want to have, people noticed and companies noticed. So I never publicized myself as hire me as a speaker. And so what happened naturally was people would say, I watched your video or I've seen you do videos or we've been watching you for months now and we'd love for you to come and speak at our organization. This is the event and let us know which topics you'd like to discuss. So that's really how it started, Ahmed. And within the
yeah.
first 12 months, I had, I think, about 15 speaking events and majority of them were paid, which was even more amazing
That's
because I
great.
was told that you had to, you know, you had to like do things for free, and I was willing to
Yeah,
do things for free, but at the same time, I wanted to value myself, and I
it's
wanted
true.
to make it okay for myself to say, okay, I want to put some kind of value on what I'm going to bring on the day. That was a bit challenging in the beginning, but for me, the fact that I could see that these opportunities were coming toward me, I thought, okay, so obviously speaking from your heart and from a place of excitement, people can feel that energy. And so that's really how it all started in terms of the speaking.
Yeah, of course. Speaking from your heart, like you're saying, it people feel that, and it's good that you choose something that you're truly passionate about, and that people you said enough, Tima, talking about it because you have to have knowledge and use your experience when talking. Because usually you get asked about the subject, you have to be prepared to answer the questions and all that. Yeah, thank you. I think that's. A great answer. Nasser Ali here. Thank you, Nasser, for joining
Thank you,
us.
Nasir.
And Dari, thank you so much for coming in. Also, thank you, appreciate you. Mohammed here was asking another question, but I think we answered about the passion also, and I think you answered about it. Like, how can you identify our passion, and how can we get to know that this thing is what we're good at? I think it was
Okay.
a little bit covered. Yeah,
I can add to
yeah,
it
sure.
if you have time, Ahmed.
Yeah, sure,
So
of course, of
basically,
course.
I mean, Muhammad is a young, like he's very young. We've spoken a little bit through the direct messages, and whether
Yeah,
you're young or not so young, honestly the only way that you can know your passion is firstly you need to have a lot of self-awareness. Like you really need to be connected to who you are, and you really need to understand your values. Again, I'm going to go back to values. You need to know
yes,
what your values are. There are so many exercises. If you just type in Google, how do I find out my values, or values exercise, or if you type in Dr. John Demartini values
yeah,
exercise, he's got a free tool that you can actually look at. And those values are really your decision-making drivers. They're really going to help you decide really what the next steps are in terms of what your passions are. The passion element is, okay, there's a couple of things that you can really do here. Is one, the thought of whatever that thing is, if you feel like your body, there's that little feeling of excitement inside of you, a little bit of like just that feeling of expansion, then that it excites you, and you should just literally just try and see what happens, see how you feel, see the results you get. The only way you will get clarity is by actually trying something. You cannot get clarity by thinking about it. Sometimes we think we can, but you can't do that. So it's a different experience when you are experiencing it yourself. And then if you're thinking about something and you feel like you're like contracting a little bit and you're sort of like, closing in,
Yeah.
most likely it's not something that you're passionate about. But then again, it could be fear as well. And that fear could be because you're really unsure of what you need to do. So don't confuse with fear with confusion of the next step, and really unsure of what the next step is. But the other thing could potentially be that you're genuinely just not interested. And again, if you're not sure, just try it. And it doesn't have to be a 2-year thing. It could be, let's try this for a week. If it doesn't work and if it doesn't excite me, just move on. It's okay. You can try so many different things.
I agree with you. It's a good answer. And Divya is saying self-awareness, self-awakening, so important. I agree with you also, Divya.
Yeah.
Of course, we have to try to know if this is really our passion. Maybe we have like a wrong feeling about it. Unless you try, you will not be able to know if this is really your passion or not. I totally agree with you. Uh, Tima, if we talk also about your experience with LinkedIn, how long have you been there? And I see network almost touching now 100,000 and a lot of useful content you're sharing this on LinkedIn. Tell us, how did this help your business, and how did it help you personally to grow and connect network with people?
Okay. All right. So LinkedIn's been amazing. It's just been incredible. I feel like it's been such a blessing. I think we talked about this a little bit before we came on to this
Yes.
interview. And look, when I first came onto LinkedIn, I genuinely just wanted to come on just to talk about my mission and my podcast. I had a course that I was selling at the time, which was a course where I was helping mainly people in the corporate world or C-suite executives that wanted to transition out of their career and really build something new for themselves and create a new purpose for themselves. That was really one of the reasons why I came onto the platform, because I had experienced that myself, because I was a financial planner and I was starting a whole new venture and, sold my business and started practically from scratch. And when I came onto LinkedIn, so that was in May of 2018. I did my first video. I don't know the exact date, but I think it was around, I don't know, like the 13th of May or something like that. I should know the date, but I don't know the
Yeah.
date. And I just literally did a very quick 36-second video, and that's where it all started. I started off with 500 connections, and that grew to about 25,000 within a space of 5 months.
Wow.
And it was just unbelievable. It was seriously unbelievable, and I literally had no idea how quickly. Like I didn't realize that one, people were going to even be interested in what I had to say. Because when I first started doing these videos, I honestly, Ahmed, I genuinely felt like I was too old to be on camera. I didn't think that I was going to be relevant enough to be able to capture people's attention, because in the end, to get people's attention, it's actually a very challenging thing because time is so precious. And again, I was thinking, well, who am I for people to even like really stop and listen to? But when I first started, I mean, when I people complain about getting 5 likes and 2 comments, I was so happy
So happy
because they
about
weren't.
it. Yeah.
I was so happy because
Yes.
I didn't know who these people were. They weren't related to me. They weren't my friends, and they were not my family. So for me to see 5 likes from people that I did not know, and a couple of comments where people were like, "Thank you so much. This was amazing," or they would ask a question. I was just so grateful. So that's how it all started. And then I challenged myself. I said, okay, I'm going to do 10 videos. So do a video a day over 10 days.
Wow,
Because
good.
video was something that I was really scared about, Ahmed. I don't like pictures. I still don't like pictures. I do them because I have to. And video was something that I was really, really, I just wasn't confident in. I just didn't really want to be on video, to be honest. Hello, is it Sarika? I hope I
Yes,
pronounced
Sarika,
your name
how are you?
correctly. Namaste.
Yeah,
I love India, by the way. I love Indian people, and so when I started to create the videos, I said, okay, this is a skill, and I need to learn how to do this, and I need to be confident. And the only way that I could be confident was committing to a challenge. And so I did it for the first 10 days, and I said, oh, you know what? Let's do it for 30 days. And then I did
wow.
it for 30 days straight. And that was really, really difficult because
Yeah,
I was really going out of my comfort zone. I had to come up with topics. I didn't want to just create a video for the sake of being on someone's news feed. I really wanted to create something that was going to be meaningful and helpful. And that's where it all started, Ahmed. I mean, honestly, like uh, you know, to even get to where I am, I'm still in awe of the amount of people that watch my content and reach out to me on LinkedIn or Instagram. Like they happen to find me on other platforms, and people are just so kind and encouraging and generous. And I think people don't realize how much those direct messages mean to me. And everything you see on the platform, I just want to be very clear, you know, that's all me. I comment directly back to people. No one manages my account. I don't think I'll ever let anyone do that. I genuinely
yeah,
love doing it myself. So if you see like 500 comments and I've commented to every single one, that's literally me. And I think it's such a beautiful way to connect with people. If people
exactly.
have spent 2 minutes to watch my video, um, I'm going to say thank you, because it's the nicest possible thing to do, and give someone back, you know, that time at least to say thank you. So
True, true, true. You have to be, of course, grateful to people and thank people, whatever, even if your net will grow. And this is how people really find you very, very helpful, and like you're supporting everybody, and that's how you grow your network by supporting other people and being grateful to people who watched your content. And it's a message, I think, to everybody that you have to go out of your comfort zone in order to grow. And really did a huge challenge, like going 30 days on video in a row. That's really hard. I salute you for that. That's amazing.
they were very short videos too, Ahmed. They weren't edited. They were just directly off
Yeah,
my camera. I didn't even have subtitles. Some of them I did because that's when I started to teach myself how to edit videos, because I'm like, okay, if I'm going to take this seriously, my videos need to look a lot better.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
taught myself how to edit videos. I bought software, and slowly I sort of went into this world of content creation. I didn't even know what it was called, content creation. So
Yes.
it just kind of like all happened. So yeah, so Sadika, I love you guys too. Great message, and
Thank
content
you,
is
Sari.
great. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank
So
you, Sarika. So much appreciated. Tima, if we go for your podcasting, the new podcasting, deconstructing success. I've watched one of your episodes, and tell us how it's different from your old journey and podcasting, and what's new for you in 2021, the podcasting
okay,
journey. I am
all
very
right. So
excited about it, and I'm happy to see you growing
I'm
in the
excited
podcast.
too. I'm really looking forward to it too. And it's so interesting. Like people must think I'm crazy because I literally just started again. I literally deleted my old podcast, and rather than rebrand it, I just deleted it and I just started again. And it just, I mean, look, it took me a while to come up with that decision. One of the reasons why was I was interviewing someone last year,
Yeah.
and I had this moment where I thought, oh my gosh, this person that I'm interviewing who's amazing is not connecting with me. And I was really getting a little bit worried, because one of the things that I take a lot of pride in is I feel like I can connect with a lot of different people. and especially people that I'm interviewing, because I want them to feel comfortable. And not that he wasn't comfortable, but I just don't think he was enjoying the questions. And I thought, my gosh, maybe I sound like everyone. Maybe there's nothing special about my podcast. And I was really evolving a lot as a woman and as a business person. And my podcast was really changing in terms of the sense of direction. And the name never really resonated with me. It was called Tima, the podcast. If people are interested, they can go back. There's a couple of videos that I've talked about it, so I won't waste your time, Ahmed, today talking about it. But it
Almost
was
your
very,
show. You can talk about anything you want.
yeah. Well, the name just didn't resonate with me,
Yeah,
and I wanted to call it something different. But I was, again, when you first start these things and you're a lot younger and you're a lot more influential, I asked too many people for their opinion, and I wanted to use the word deconstruct in the title.
I
I
like
actually
it.
wanted to, yeah, I
It's
really
very
wanted to
catchy.
call it.
Yeah.
It is
Yes.
catchy. I agree
Yeah.
with you. But at the
Yeah.
time, I was speaking to a couple of people that I knew that had podcasts, and in my head, I was like, "Well, they know what they're doing," and I said, "I want to call it deconstructed entrepreneur." And they're like, "What? Like, what does that even mean? That's really confusing. Like, just call it anything else but that." And that really kind of threw me a little bit. I'm like, well, they know what they're talking about, so maybe I should listen. And I kept thinking about different names and I was holding myself back. I'm like, okay, I just need to give it a name. Just give it a
Yeah.
name because I need to set this up. So I just
Yes.
called it Tima, the podcast. But it was nothing, I never really enjoyed the name, which sounds silly because it's my name and it should be okay. But it was something that I was never really proud of the name, Tima, the podcast. It just
Mm.
didn't feel exciting to me. But I got caught in it. I did it for like a couple of years, and I'm like, okay, no, 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 no. I know better now, and I need to give it a new name, a new feel, a new focus, different set of questions. And I just want to connect with people at a deeper level. And I think the coronavirus, with the lockdown and all of that, it just really made me question a lot about certain things, about how
Yeah.
I wanted to improve and the things that I wanted to apply and implement. And one of the things was my podcast. So I said, now is the time for me to name it something that I'm really excited about. And deconstructing success came from because I thought, well, what if I don't just interview entrepreneurs? What if I interview politicians or athletes or other really incredible people that are successful, but they're not necessarily entrepreneurs? So I wanted to keep it open. And I'm very, very obsessed with the mind and I'm very obsessed with success. And success for me is many areas of life, but definitely financial success. I mean, that's the truth. We are all fascinated with people that have created incredible amounts of financial wealth. And so for me, I thought, okay, this is the perfect title. And I have a whole other plan for the platform itself, which will eventually evolve, over the time. But I
Yeah.
have big plans for my podcast, and so for me, it's all about trying to deconstruct the guest's mind and really pull it apart and say, okay, so how did you actually create this success and what was the behind the scenes? And I really want to get into very deep conversations, not just the surface level about how did you generate $20 million? It's like, okay, how did it impact your life at home? At what cost did it have, with your children and your relationship with your partner? All those sort of questions that we really don't know too much about. So I really wanted to change the focus of the podcast, and deleting the old one and starting a new one was something that really meant a lot more to me than just rebranding it. I'm like, it has to be a brand new thing. So, and the energy for me is like really important as well. I can't hear you, Ahmed. I don't know if you can hear me.
But let me
Oh,
let me
I
go
can
on.
hear you. No, it's back now.
Yeah,
I can hear you. Okay.
yeah. Yeah, I was just saying that Muhammad got me here. Like, I was going to ask you also this question about the podcast, because you did a lot of podcasts with A-list people and influencers and entrepreneurs. Do you have like a favorite podcast that you did, or like something like a guest that you enjoyed really your time with? And
Yeah, I my favorite is Grant Cardone. That was my absolute favorite, and to this date, I feel so proud of that episode. And there's another Ahmed. Hello,
yeah,
Ahmed. We all
I
know
am
Ahmed
Khalid.
Khalil.
Yes. How are you, Ahmed?
And that was my favorite episode. And I was very fortunate to meet Grant Cardone in real life. So he was so kind to me and so generous and so professional, and he was just so wonderful to be around. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest, because he was really my first big name to actually interview. And I was really surprised with myself. I wasn't nervous. I was completely myself. I did so many hours of research. I think I spent like 40 hours researching Grant Cardone
Oh,
before getting into the
yeah.
interview. And I genuinely loved my time with him. He is funny, he's incredibly smart, very kind, and he was so gracious and so generous with everything that he shared. And it's a time that sometimes I just have to, like, pinch myself and go, did that actually happen? That was a really special moment for me. And yeah, I just really I love everything he stands for. So for me, one of the reasons why I loved that interview is because I genuinely believe in his message. And I think that's also really important. But yeah, he was definitely my favorite.
Yeah, I've seen you've done with the Cardones with him and his wife. I think I've seen something like that. Yeah, and of course his book, The 10X. If anybody did not like read it, I advise to read it. And shout out to Grant Cardone from here if you ever watch this episode. Of course, he's a great guy. Of course, yeah, I agree with you. Tima, do you have any questions for me?
For you, yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me, like, what is the most important thing that you're working on right now?
Well, I'm working on this live show and interviewing great people like you, and maybe thinking of taking it to podcasting like you did. Maybe soon working on consultancy and supply chain, because I'm really it's my passion. I like supply chain a lot, so I'm helping companies who are struggling with building their sales and operation planning process. Of course, you have a big finance background, so you know all about sales and operation, about how to make it successful, and help companies, because a lot of companies are in the Middle East, especially, are struggling in this area. So I'm passionate about this new business I'm working on, teaching also the same like supply chain, sales and operation planning. I'm starting in it, so I have also a lot of great ambitions in 2021, and I hope I will succeed in them all.
No, look at you. You look so excited about these plans. I'm sure you will. I mean, you've just got such a great attitude, and I really appreciate, this time that we're spending together and the
Me
conversation.
too.
So I'm pretty sure that you're going to achieve everything that you desire. So no, I appreciate you sharing that.
Thank you so much, Tim, and thank you for your time. It was a great interview. I hope we can do it again. I hope one day I can be a guest in your podcast show also, and deconstructing
Inshallah.
success. Thank you so much, and have a great day. And thank you for everyone who joined us.
Thank you,
Uh,
everyone.
yes.
Are majority of your listeners, are they from the UAE, or where are they?
The listeners, we can see that people joined from India, and Shay Lynch here. He's from Ireland, originally from Ireland. Thank you,
Hi,
Shay, for
Shay.
joining at the
Thank
last minute.
you.
We have listeners from Saudi and USA and Emirates, so
Oh,
it's
that's
becoming
fantastic.
it's getting global, and the show's getting bigger, and I'm so happy about that, and so grateful to everybody who joined us.
Well, this should be a podcast. You've got so much content that you could just literally launch a podcast and have at least 2 or 3 months worth of content, and you'd be completely fine with it, Ahmed. If you need any help, just let me know. But yeah,
Of course,
you should convert this into a podcast for sure. And I do plan to come to the UAE. I can't wait to come to Dubai. Dubai is like a real destination for me that I've always wanted to come and visit. I'm hoping that this year will be the year. We'll see what happens, but I would love to come to Dubai, and I'd love to meet you as well. So, but thank you to your listeners and everyone that's asked questions, and thank you to you, Ahmed. You're a fantastic host, and I just
thank
want
you
to
so
commend
much.
you and thank you for the way you approached me. You were very, very thoughtful and respectful, and very, very kind, and very, very professional. So thank you for everything that you've done for me as well. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Tima. Of course, if I decide to turn it into a podcast, as you mentioned, I will come back to you. I have a big experience in that. And Marriott Ram also is here. Hi,
Hi,
Marriott. See,
Maria.
catch it in the last minute.
The beautiful Marriott.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day. And
You too.
definitely you'll catch up. And you're most welcomed. Let's if you plan to join, to come to Dubai, of course, and it will be great to have you here.
Oh, I can't wait. There's so many people I want to meet in Dubai. So yeah,
Uh,
you'll definitely be one of them. Thank you so much. Have
Thank
an
you.
amazing day. Thank
Take
you.
care. Thank
Bye-bye.
you, everybody. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.